Here at Unexplained Reality, we support our troops and veterans 100%. Our family has a number of veterans, and my son-in-law is active duty serving our wonderful country. We have come across a great veteran-owned company called Awesome Bad Clothing. They have some very cool t-shirts and hats, and best of all, they are veteran-owned. So go check them out at awesomebadclothing.com and let them know you heard about them from Unexplained Reality. And when you go to checkout, type Unexplained in the coupon code box to get 10% off.
Good evening, and welcome to Unexplained Reality, the podcast about the weird, strange, and unexplained, but real. We are delighted to have you with us. Please grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Reality with me, Brian Quinn, and my son,
Harrison Quinn.
Hope everybody's having a good week. Actually, everybody had a good week.
Yeah.
You had a fantastic week?
I was hoping they had a fantastical week.
You're looking forward to a fantastical week
Of doing schoolwork, yes, absolutely.
And going to school.
Yes.
Yeah. And like walking to school tonight, so you'll be ready for it in the morning.
Yeah, I think after we do this podcast, I'm going to go take a shower and change clothes and just walk to school tonight and just wait for them to open the doors.
That's dedication right there.
That is dedication.
It's awesome. Taught you well.
The Chihuahua's been triggered.
Yeah, Chihuahua alarms going off in here, so he'll fit right in with what we're going to talk about later on.
Sure will.
Yes, so hope everybody had a good week and is having a good week. If you have an encounter or an experience and you'd like to get in touch with us to share it, or you just want to reach out and say, hey, unexplained.reality@yahoo.com. Facebook, we have a page there, and we have that's open to the public, and we have a private group that you can join if you send us a request. And Twitter, Instagram, we do all that. We have a YouTube channel. You can reach all those. Best way to do it is go to unexplainedreality.com and just hit the social media links there. You can also look at episodes, not look at episodes.
Listen to
episodes, because that's what we do. You don't want to see us.
No, probably not.
Make you lose your lunch. Nobody wants to see this.
Be like, they see us and they're like, wow, I didn't know goblins existed in real life.
For real. Like, look, they're gargoyles. Look at these guys. They're cryptids. What are you talking about? So, you can go there and you can click on the episodes tab and you can listen streaming, or you can download, however you want to do that. And, or you can use your favorite podcatcher. And if you do that, if you have the ability to give us a rating, we'd appreciate it, because it just helps us become more visible. I think that's my normal spiel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah. So you have any news? I have a few articles, but wanted to ask you.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, good. Yeah. You're just ready to go take that shower and get on to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be ready for in the morning. Mm-hmm. It's like 8, almost 9 o'clock here in the evening. He's just waiting to. He's always anxious to get to school.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple. These are from Cryptozoology News, and they're all Bigfoot reports. So thought I would go through a couple of those. This first one is from, if it loads, New Yorker claims Bigfoot encounter. This is from Alcove, New York. A man says he saw a Bigfoot creature in upstate New York. Gary, who didn't provide his last name, said last Sunday that he was just a child when he and his friends encountered the alleged biped. I was 7 years old. We were playing by a stream. There were lots of trees. We used to go play in there, he said on a 14-minute long video. Suddenly, explains Gary, his friend Mike tapped him on the shoulder and asked him to look up. He says, "Don't say a word." Then I look up and I see this guy there. I thought he was wearing overalls, but I look down and I'm like, wait a second. That's not overalls. That is like weeping willow leaves draped over his shoulders, and they went all the way to his knees. And then I looked at his legs and I saw hair. He told YouTuber in Evan Monster 1. Gary described the being as a big hairy ape with a red nose. According to the eyewitness, the animal was using branches as camouflage, and he says he is sure it was an ape. He was holding another creature in his hand, a little hairy ape. The man says the creature had also noticed their presence and that it was staring at them, but not in a menacing way. He explains it just looked at me with a blank face, so I got up and we started walking towards the hill to get away from the area. There were 7 of us there. When we reached the hill, we began screaming and freaked out. When I got home, I told my mother, but she got mad because I was late for dinner. It's just like a mom. Not worried about your safety. All they're worried about is dinner getting cold. They probably had like meatloaf or something.
Yeah, because the mom could whoop the snot out of a Bigfoot. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If the meatloaf gets cold, it's irreversible. If you heat it up in the
Right.
microwave, it just gets chewy.
Yeah, I mean, but anybody
can't
can beat
undo
the
it.
snot out of a Bigfoot, or any mother,
No
anytime she
one
wants.
can reheat a meatloaf properly.
Well, I don't know about everybody else's mother, but my mom, your grandma, your Oma,
Yes, especially Oma.
she had this
my.
blue Avon brush, and I'm pretty sure it was some kind of
Pretty sure she still has it, yeah.
that plastic was later used on the bottom of the space shuttle. I'm pretty sure for re-entry because it was indestructible. And let me tell you, it hurt like crap too. Anyways, so anyways, that was pretty much the extent of that story. I thought it was a more recent one. I'm kind of disappointed. This one was, I'm going to read one more here and then we'll get on to our business. This one's from Florida, Parrish, Florida. This says Florida family calls sheriff over Bigfoot encounter. This is also from Cryptozoology News. A family in Manatee County says they came across an unidentified biped. The mother of the family told BFRO investigator R. Monteith that they were driving on Highway 62 when they encountered the mysterious creature at 5:15 a.m. We were driving home from an all-night fishing trip, she said about the July 2017 encounter. This creature waited for the car ahead of us to pass and ran across between our cars. 2 cars. The woman said her husband also saw the creature. She described it as a dark in color, huge and fast, and running upright. She added that it didn't have the shoulder motion that humans have when they run. It was running stiffly without any arm swing. The father, who also says he saw the creature, told Monteith that it had very long legs and that they noticed a strange smell that reminded them of polecat, musky, swamp water, and sulfur. That's a combo right there. Sure to rattle the nostril.
What a specific combination as well.
I always love that term, polecat. It's a skunk. Yeah. Polecat. Anyways, I didn't know if you knew that. Since you thought Burt Reynolds was on Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay, you know what? I think it's time to let that go. That was 2 episodes ago.
That was pathetic. But I gotta say, I'm pretty sure that, that's something I gotta apologize to everybody who listens to this that might be from that area of Louisiana. I apologize for just completely butchering those river names. I found out afterwards that it's not the Tensas River, but it's actually the Tensaw River. And it's not the what did I call it? The Washita. It's actually the Washita River. So I apologize. I should have checked on that. I'm pretty sure tonight I'm probably going to butcher something else. So just go ahead and forewarn you. So, anyways, that's the news I have for tonight. I do want to say that if you listen to OK Talk podcast, they have done a couple stories on Devil's Creek, which is up in Washington State, I believe. Right? Washington State, yeah. I think it's in the Olympic Peninsula area. Don't chisel that in stone or anything, but I think. And anyways, they are actually went up to that area this week. They are in the process of a GoFundMe for a documentary on the Devil's Creek area. If you listen to that podcast, or if you don't, you should go subscribe to it and listen to it. And specifically check out the Devil's Creek episodes they've done. Just a little synopsis about it. They, this couple, I guess, bought this property. It was like their dream property for retirement or whatever. And not long after they moved in, they had some suspicious stuff go on. So, yada, yada, yada. Apparently they got Bigfoot on that property. And, so now they don't live there anymore because it got too crazy. Some of the audio and stuff that was being captured and some of the stuff that was happening. So, but that property is up for sale, I believe. And before it sells, they're trying to do a documentary on the property because it's so off the chain. So go help them out. GoFundMe.com/Devil's Creek Film. And, I'll also be posting it routinely on Instagram, so and on our Facebook and stuff. So you can click on the link and go to GoFundMe and help them out with that that project to get that documentary made. Also, I wanted to say, if you listen to Sasquatch Chronicles, I mean, it's an awesome show. We love that podcast, so you should subscribe to it regardless. And but Wes has been interviewing this guy that has written these books. It's Bigfoot Terror in the Woods, I believe, is the name of the book series. Some of those encounters that this guy is talking about are amazing. So you should go listen to those too and check those books out. So I think I'll quit giving my spiel here. Got anything else to add before we roll into Hellhounds?
Sure don't.
We have our own Hellhound in here.
Sure do.
Yeah. We should add some audio of him losing his mind in the background.
Wouldn't it be too hard?
No.
To get that audio?
No. Just anything. Look at him, touch him with more than one hand, he'll do that. Anyways, tonight we're going to talk about Hellhounds. These mysterious beasts go by many names and stories, and they're creepy encounters, that occur all over the world with these creatures. Some of the common references are devil dog, hellhound, black dog, the girt dog, padfoot, barquist, the hairy hound, the yeth hound, the grim. In England, they have the black shook. What did you say? I was mispronouncing that.
You kept saying shook, and I think is
shuck. Shuck. Black shuck.
Like you shuck corn.
Okay. Black shuck. In the Isle of Man, they have the Motley Dew, which I think is the coolest name ever. I just saw Motley Dew. The Puka in Ireland, and the Gwaeligi in Wales, and in Scotland, they have the Susith. They're all pretty cool names. Most of those I've never heard of, but stories of this worldwide phenomenon have been shared for hundreds of years. In fact, Sir Arthur Cannon. Why can't I say that? I want to call him Sir Arthur Cannon. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's popular 1901 Sherlock Holmes tale, The Hound of Baskervilles, was based on stories of large dogs or hellhounds. In this tale, Sir Charles Baskerville was found dead on the grounds of his estate, which is called Baskerville Hall. Sir Charles supposedly passed away from a heart attack, but his friend Mortimer became very suspicious of this because Sir Charles had this horrible look of fear on his face when he was found passed away or deceased. And Mortimer noticed large canine prints not far from where Sir Charles' body was at in the story. Apparently, the Baskerville family had a curse on them. This curse went back to the English Civil War when Hugo Baskerville made a deal with the devil, and this eventually led to him being killed by a giant dog. And of course, there's much more to the plot, but what we're dealing with here, that's the gist of it. The Sherlock Holmes tale is, of course, a fictional story. However, there are many who claim to have had encounters. During the summer of 2012 in Deschutes County, Oregon, between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., a man was driving home near China Falls Highway and 101 Street. As he was driving, something caught his eye off to the right. And there was a creature standing in tall grass next to a vacant and deteriorating house. He was fully thinking, this is a deer or something, but something just wasn't right about the creature. So he slowed down considerably and then abruptly decided to make a turn into the driveway of the vacant house. And the intention was to hopefully catch the animal in his headlights as he pulled into the driveway. Usually when animals get in a bright light, they stop and check it out. They're stunned. So it all happened in one fluid motion. His headlight swept across the creature and caught it in mid-step, which caused the creature to stop. And his car stopped at the same time, and there was the creature. And what was standing in front of him was a very large dog. And even though the creature was standing very high grass on all fours, it was considerably taller than the grass, he said. The dog had ears like a Doberman that stood straight up. It was very black. It had very evil eyes. And when the light hit the dog, it dropped its head to the level of the grass and actually a bit below it. And its eyes were just kind of, glancing over the top of the grass and was locked on the man. The man described the dog's eyes as having an intelligence. And the dog took a stance like it was ready to pounce. At this time, he felt like it was time to leave. I guess I would too. However, he was scared to take his eyes off the animal, so using his peripheral vision, he looked for oncoming headlights, and when things looked clear, he shot out backwards out of the driveway and sped on his way home. Now, it's interesting about the intelligence because you have that in a lot of cryptid sightings, especially a lot of Sasquatch sightings. People say that when they lock eyes, if they have that as part of their encounter, they lock eyes with them, and they claim that it has an intelligence. And you've had a lot of hunters that have been out hunting and had encounters with these, and a few of them have put them in their scopes. We're ready to squeeze it off, and they said either they couldn't do it because they could tell it had intelligence, or it looked too human-like in the face. So that's interesting. To me, it was an interesting little fact about that. In the story, A Strange and Terrible Wonder, the Reverend Abraham Fleming told of an encounter with a black dog in Bungay, England on August 14th, 1577. In this account, during a very bad thunderstorm, the loyal members of St. Mary's Church had attended service. The church at some point was struck by lightning, at which point the doors flew open. Bounding through the doors was a huge dog, a huge black dog. The dog barreled through the rows of pews as two men dropped to their knees to pray. As the large beast passed these two men, it broke their necks. The massive creature was gone as fast as it appeared. The only thing left behind by this mysterious dog were scorch marks on the floor, which is a common occurrence with these sightings. A lot of times there are instances where there are footprints or paw prints, but a lot of times there are scorch marks left, or actual fire burning when these dogs, leave or whatever. In Jacksonville, Florida in 2010, a group of young men were at a baseball park at night.
As they were walking through the park, they felt the temperature drop noticeably. Then one of the guys saw something out of his peripheral vision. What he saw was a huge dog, about 4 feet long, with a tiger skull for a head. The dog began running towards them and oddly crossed a fence that stood between the young men and the massive canine. As the dog hit the ground on the other side of the fence, it completely disappeared. Right then, 3 smaller dogs with glowing eyes appeared. They did not hang around for those. The guys took off.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting here too with the temperature drop. Yeah, that a lot in ghost sightings or ghostly encounters. People claim to have that. And to have a canine with a tiger skull for a head is kind of a little weird. Yeah. And then the dog just disappeared, and 3 other ones show up. So those are all. I mean, you see that kind of thing in a lot of spectral encounters or ghostly encounters. I don't think we ever had temperature drops at our whole house, did we? I don't ever remember that.
No, I don't remember any specifically, at least.
So if y'all don't know, our house we used to have some weird
ghosts.
I don't know about multiple, but we had something weirdness going on.
Definitely.
Our dog would wake up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, be downstairs in the dining room, just barking at a wall, barking at a corner.
At a corner, yeah.
Freak you out. Heard footsteps, all kind of ruckus. Saw shadow people, and
books would come off of shelves upstairs. We'd hear a thump or something. We'd go upstairs and there'd be a book on the ground.
I don't remember that.
That was when you guys had that big bookshelf in your room to the left of your TV.
Oh, really?
I remember multiple times. Me and Mom were home.
Huh.
We heard a thump and Mom goes upstairs and she said it was just a book.
Yeah, she must have. I know we had one morning, everybody was getting ready for work and school, and Jackson was at the front door, started barking, and the door slammed. Mom thought it was me coming back I'd left for work. She thought I'd come back because I'd forgotten something. And there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And then we had issues with your radio. Your TV kept cutting on. You would watch TV at night and fall asleep watching TV.
Yeah.
And like one night, she cut the TV off like 5 times. Every time she got back in the room, there'd be glow coming from your room.
Back on, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Anyways, I digress. We're going off on a tangent.
I remember that little radio,
the lullaby radio.
Yeah, I've still got that, but
it's still upstairs.
I haven't plugged it in. I haven't touched it since we moved.
Yeah, I think it used to do some stuff, cut on and off and stuff. Well, then Mom saw the full shadow apparition body or whatever at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
that kind of sealed the deal there. So, anyway, sorry, we are off on a tangent as usual. The next experience took place in Romulus, Michigan. A family lived on a farm, and one day a large dog showed up and began giving the family a hard time. I thought it was kind of interesting, give the family a hard time. This is kind of a weird way for me to put that in it. He's like, hey, you guys got some money or something? You got some food in there?
Oh, my.
Anyways, they described the dog as a Great Dane-sized creature with glowing red eyes. I mean, right there, to me, if his eyes glowed red, it's time for him to go.
Yeah. Unnatural.
It's like, what was it? Eddie Murphy talking about Amityville Horror. You're too.
Yes, exactly.
You're too young. Wow, it's like, love the place. It's great. It's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
Get out.
Too bad we can't stay.
He's like, that's peculiar.
Yeah.
Blood in the toilet? Wow.
I've heard Uncle Wayne talk about that multiple times.
So, anyways, they described the dog as a Great Dane-sized creature with glowing red eyes. The dog kept hanging around the farm, and every time they encountered it, the dog would stand up on his back legs, on his back. Well, they probably were black, but on his back legs. The family kept finding dead animals all over the farm. Not good. These discoveries were always found with huge paw prints close by. It appears that the creature's attacks on the family went beyond killing the farm animals. The hellhound began attacking the family's house, ripping and tearing the screens off of the screen doors. I don't like these screens.
For real, why rip them off? Just go through them.
I know.
It's a screen door.
It's a screen door.
That's what we need to do.
Well, I think what we found here is that's the vulnerability of the hellhound.
If
They
you
can't,
have
they don't know what to do with screen doors.
It confuses. That's what regular dogs do too. Have you seen the videos where the people have the glass doors? They open the glass door, but the dog thinks the door's still there and it won't go through it. That's like that. We need to do that. We need to have clear doors. Then we need to just open the door and look into hellhound.
The dog's trying to figure out what this little film is.
It's just like staring at us.
I can see through it, but it just doesn't look right.
Looking at the seams.
What is going on in my eyes?
This is sketchy, man. I don't like this.
There's all this little check pattern all over my eyes. So, anyways, he ripped and tore the screens off the screen door. And even though the aggression escalated, the canine never attacked a family member. However, the pinnacle of the situation occurred when the mother found her son in a kind of trance talking to the massive dog in a low voice. You're a good boy. You're a good dog. That just seems so weird to me. I mean, I would be freaked out if I saw my kid. I know how it was when I came home and found Taylor watching Booba on TV. And they had all the psychedelic colors. And like, Booba.
No.
I was like, turn that off.
No, Booba.
She was in like a trance. I'm telling you, the kid was in a trance sitting on Your sister her brain was sucked out of her head at that moment.
There's been reports of TV shows that do that.
Yeah, I think that was one. It's not on anymore, is it?
No, they use hypnotic images, especially in kids shows. That and subliminal messages. Subliminal messages.
That's what I felt like. I was like, it was crazy.
Hypnotic, yeah, definitely.
So I can't imagine if you saw your kid sitting here talking to a dog.
They're good dogs, Brent.
In a low voice. It would be better if it was like had an accent. All of a sudden the kid had an accent. Talking to the dog.
He's speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
This is fine. This is normal. Our son, he's bilingual. He's fine.
He's good.
It's a blessing.
He's a good kid.
He learned a dead language. He learned Latin.
I can't believe he knows Latin.
He pet a dog.
He's going to med school.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Life is.
The priest is like, your son's 4.
Your son's.
He can't even speak English real good right now, and he's speaking Latin to a dog.
He's speaking tongues.
Yeah.
He's repeating the 95 thesis perfectly, and this is like
Lord.
in Latin.
Okay, we're supposed to be serious here. We're going off on tangent. Sorry about that. So the dog was sitting there growling. The mother freaked out and threw something at the animal and spooked it. The dog ran off. However, this event had a profound effect on the boy, and for some time after this encounter, the boy made strange statements to his family members. Out of the blue, he would say something like, "We don't want you here," or "Our ghosts are food."
Our ghosts are food?
Our ghosts are food. That's what he said. Eventually, the family cat became scared of the boy. That's never good. When the cat starts hissing at you or something or anything, that's never good.
Anything with animals. Animals alert very
well, yeah, but
easily.
Cats are weird anyways. When they just start hissing out of that's something. Oh, great.
Our chihuahua's been triggered. There's a hellhound in our house.
Hellhound. All right, sorry. That's under control. Our hellhound went off.
Yeah.
So the boy made these statements, and eventually the family cat became scared of the boy. And when the boy began to prick his fingers and paint on the wall in his own blood, that was enough. Wow, they took it. They let it go so far. I mean, I would have stopped when the dog's eyes glowed red.
I would have stopped when the kid was speaking in tongues.
I would have stopped with. I mean, the first thing that says the dog's eyes glowed red. Great Dane sized dog and his eyes glowed red.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah. And so, anyways, one of the boy's uncles shot the beast the next time it came around, and the dog was wounded and ran off into the woods. And so, as is the case with many unexplained encounters with unknown entities or, whatever, these experiences are believed to be a foretelling of a catastrophic event. And, sometimes it can be an accident. And as in the case of the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, prior to the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15th, 1967, which killed 46 people. There were numerous sightings of Mothman, which occurred that year the year prior to the collapse of the bridge, which was, connector between Point Pleasant, West Virginia and Gallipolis, Ohio. And as was the case with the Mothman sightings in West Virginia,
We have very similar situations with hellhound sightings. They are regularly referred to as harbingers of doom, and in many cases it appears death. In an article that I found on mysteriousuniverse.com by Brent Swanser titled "The Black Hellhounds of the United Kingdom," there are a number of situations documented where the sightings of these abnormally large spectral hounds were believed to be the foretelling of death. In 1909, a Dr. McDonald had an encounter with a black dog just before the death of one of his patients. And in the late 1800s, a man by the name of Charles Walton had encountered a large black canine several nights in a row. And then just when he was expecting to see the large canine again, he saw a ghostly apparition of a woman who had been decapitated. And in reality, this was the very night his sister passed away. In 1930, another man had an encounter with a very large black dog. This time it was at a church. Those two just don't go together for me. This man decided he would try to befriend the dog, which to me isn't very smart. And anyways, he reached out to touch the dog, and it just vaporized. It disappeared. It was gone. And as you guessed it, he found out later that at the very time he had the encounter, his brother died. The article also tells of a more recent encounter which took place in 2000. Two ladies were in a car when a large hound shot out in front of them. The driver tried to stop to avoid hitting the animal. However, the animal passed right through the car spectrally. The women described the canine as having no facial features and floppy ears. The ladies told the story of what had happened to them. Someone they were going to see. They told the person that story, and that person later committed suicide. So, kind of crazy. So, our next story is actually audio, and this comes from the OK Talk podcast. In the summer of 2009, Clint Granberry, who's one of the hosts of the OK Talk podcast, was heading from Texas to California for a concert, I believe, or something. And he was leaving Texas, driving to Grand Canyon. He was going to go from there to Vegas and on to the concert. At 10 a.m. on I-40, the east and westbound lanes are split by a canyon or crevasse, and as he's heading west, a large animal comes out of the canyon or the median there, and followed by a second one. And as the creature comes up, and anyways, we'll let him tell it. You'll hear it here on the audio.
Just set the cruise control to 85. We went maybe a couple of miles, and I'm passing an 18-wheeler pretty easily in the left-hand lane. And the way this part of 40 is broken up is it's the two lanes that are going west are over here, and then there's kind of crevasse, and the eastbound lanes are way over there. It's beyond the idea of a median. In fact, that highway is split around really hilly. That terrain is insane. Yeah. I see, and all of this happens in a couple of seconds, I see something come up out of the median, clearly, like there was a pretty steep drop off on the left-hand side. As I see this thing kind of step up, and, my initial thought is that it's a dog or a deer, maybe, or something. I just noticed it's an animal on four legs. And then I noticed that there's another one behind. I see the second one. And as we get closer, I'm realizing that it's really large. But again, in that quick of a time, the first one starts to run across the road, but not run across the road like a squirrel. I'm going to try to get across the road. He starts to run towards us. And I say towards us because I get past this 18-wheeler, and I'm moving over into the right-hand lane, and this thing, I am doing a full-on as big of a swerve as you can.
It's trying to get in front of you.
Yeah. And, sure enough, he hits us square.
In the front, or run into the side?
In the front. We hit him squaw in the front. And you could not be trying to not hit a thing as much as I was at this point. And, I had taken off the brakes. I'd hit the brakes probably at some point, but, the recognition of him being there and then the getting over, I didn't have time to slow down, or if I would have, we would have gone rolling.
Yeah.
And he hit, and his back was, one thing that I noticed was that his back was above the hood. And we hit him full on. There's so many crazy things in the story, but there's a guy driving and again, I think he was that very same German man, driving in the Suburban next to us, and he's looking over at me, and he's doing this, like making his finger into a circle like I have a flat tire.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm thinking that we're dragging whatever we hit, And of course, all we're doing is trying to get to the side of the road and stop at this point.
So
it's not like
it didn't go over the car, or it went under it? Okay.
We get over to the side of the road and stop. And I am so pissed because I'm thinking that our vacation is ruined. But I look at Risha and I'm like, what the F was that,
Did she see it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, I think her initial thing was, are you okay? Because the only rational thing that had just happened was we hit a dog. And, I'm a big dog lover.
Yeah.
It's disturbing, but at no point was I ever like, oh my gosh, I hit an animal at any point. And I don't think it had anything to do with me. I think it had to do with the fact that I was like, what the F was that?
Yeah.
Well, she gets out and decides that she's going to look and see the damage. We're expecting complete and total carnage, She gets out and there's what could have been blood on the ground. It turned out it was not. It was fluid from the car. The engine is just pushed back in, maybe like the compressor is pretty much shot. But there's fluid pouring out from under the car. Whatever it was tore up hoses and stuff underneath the car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure brake fluid, whatever. I get out and we really keep looking at each other like, what happened? Where is it? Notice that our license plate is gone. And I am, like I said, I'm super pissed. I'm like, our huge vacation that we've been planning all this time, shot.
Yeah.
Where am I going now? You going nowhere.
Yeah.
When the state trooper shows up, the interesting thing is, it was like 104 at 11 in the morning down there. And within like an hour, I think it was 114 was the high down there. And this is between Seligman and Kingman, Arizona, on Highway 40. And state trooper comes up, and the first thing I say to this guy is, have you had any reports of a chupacabra lately? And of course he's like, now, the one thing that I do have to tell everybody, couldn't have been more sober at this point. Could not. On anything.
Yeah.
Okay? Anything. Couldn't have been. We told him what happened. We hit this thing, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back here, try to find your license, and make sure there's nothing in the road. You would think that if this happened in front of an 18-wheeler, I don't understand how that thing didn't hit us. I don't understand how there wasn't other cars that were affected. I don't know how any of that happened.
Yeah.
But whatever. The pictures that we have of the car, you can clearly see other cars coming down the highway. It wasn't like we were out there all on our own. Like I said, there are a lot of people that are doing this Route 66 drive. The only way that I can describe this animal, the best way that I know how, as far as the way that it looked like a hyena. Except it was tall. And when I say tall, I mean tall, top of my hood, that element.
Yeah.
Which is about my waist high. So, there are dogs that kind of can get to that high. Kind of.
Yeah. Like a Great Dane or something.
Yeah. It wasn't a Great Dane. It had shaggy hair with that like light brown and then dark brown spotting, like a hyena. It had like fluff around its neck, like fur, scruffy, and then came in on a really compact face. Its face didn't seem like it was big enough for its body in a lot of ways. And it moved like a deer, like in that it almost pranced.
Yeah.
I mean to tell you, the thing meant to hit us. I don't know how else to tell you that, you've seen an animal. They were on the highway. They both came up out of the median, and this one ran in front of our car. And I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. It didn't.
The other one looked the same?
Yeah,
as far as I could tell.
As far as I could tell. I mean, I knew that there were two of them, and they were the same thing. So this guy, the state trooper, he comes back and he's like, what do you think you hit? Because, there's nothing in the road. And I was like, man, I'm telling you, I'm from East Texas. I've been in the woods all my life. Been hunting. I've seen javelina. I've seen wild hogs. I've seen deer of all different shapes and sizes. Elk. I've been in Alaska. I've seen timber wolves in the wild. I've seen grizzlies in the wild. And I've never seen anything like this before in my life. It's like, if it was a dog, it's the biggest dog I've ever seen. And I don't know what type of a breed it is, I guess. I don't know what else. He was like, that's weird. Like he still doesn't know if I'm all right. You know? And I'm sure I'm as keyed up as you can be. He was like, are you sure it happened here? He thought maybe. I was like, dude, we hit this thing and we couldn't go any further. We had to stop. There was no,
how far do you think between when you hit it to where you stopped?
Maybe 3/4 of a mile to stop from 80 to.
Yeah. But you pulled over immediately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no not pulling over. You could, immediately like steam coming out of the engine, all of your lights and everything was shot.
Yeah.
Again, why I thought everything was ruined. It did not seem like it was a situation that was fixable. It was way more on the line, along the lines of, totaled.
Yeah.
For just the impact that it had for something that big. But the weird thing is that when you looked at the car, it didn't look like, if you hit a whitetail, I don't care what kind of truck you're driving, it smashes you. Unless you have some sort of a cattle guard or whatever on the front of your truck, you're going to get a shot. And a lot of times you're going to kick it up and it's going to hit your windshield. 9 times out of 10, that's what happens.
Yeah.
The fact that I saw the back of this thing over the hood and it went under the car is weird enough as it is, the physics of what it did. And honestly, as we would see later, there was hair on the outside of the driver's front tire and the back passenger tire. And so what I think happened was we hit it. He went under and kind of did a complete sweep. Under, went out the side somehow, but still we got him with that back tire.
Yeah.
But dude, he wouldn't be walking from it, or there should be some signs of a collision. State trooper can't find him. Can't find signs of a struggle. Can't find our license plate. And we're out there for a long time because he calls a wrecker. He's like, I'm supposed to tell you to call a wrecker from Seligman because that's technically where I'm coming from. But I know a guy in Kingman and I know those guys at that place. And that's where I would take you. That's where you should go. So this guy comes in this tow truck and picks us up. And we actually rode in the Element on the back of his tow truck while he drove us to Kingman. Probably 20 miles. And it just progressively looks more like, the ends of the earth out there.
Yeah.
Especially in the middle of the summer. That's when we really started to talk about it, what had happened. And I realized, Risha, the last exit that I can remember in my head seeing us passing before it happened was Devil Dog Road.
So that was pretty cool, wasn't it? Okay.
Hello. Sorry.
You're the other half of the show.
Well, I figured you were talking to the audience. But...
Well, I am, but yeah, they're not going to respond. So. But I thought it was a crazy story. I heard this. It was one of the first episodes on OK Talk. I think it was the second or third, fourth episode, somewhere around there. So should go check it out. There's more to the audio before it and afterward. I just got the meat of it, and with the approval OK Talk in those guys. So go check them out. If you're not subscribed to them, you should be subscribed to them. But yeah, I thought that was really fascinating. And there again, you got a situation where a couple of things are crazy about that incident. Is one of them, it's daylight, it's not dark. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. It's in the desert. Basically, there's two of them, and they don't just come out and run across the road and they hit them. They come like at the car, and he hits them. So it's not just spectrally, because it damages the car and makes it undrivable. It's leaking fluid and stuff. And there's hair on the fender well and stuff. So they hit something, but then there's no body. Their license plate's missing. And the last road he saw before this happened was Devil Dog Road, which is just awesome. It's awesome. And I've been out close to there, coming out of Vegas, and there's not much of anything out there. It's pretty desolate, no man's land, kind of. It's where weird people live when they live out there. People that are out there, strange. So, anyways, thought that was cool, and along with the devil dogs or hellhounds, a lot of times, most of the time when there's sightings, they're in a desolate area, but usually it's at night or dark or something. And it's usually not, it'd be the place where you would expect to find something creepy, usually is where they're encountered. But, we call them the harbingers of death or doom or whatever, but that's not always the case. There are a few cases in history of these animals coming to the rescue of somebody. In particular, I heard one story where this girl was walking late at night or walking in the dark by herself, and some guy was approaching her, and this dog just appeared out of nowhere and basically protected her, made the dude run off, scared him off. And the dog wasn't with her. Just came, and then he was gone after, almost like a guardian angel kind of deal. So it's kind of weird. But I ran across this other article. It's by Dolly Stoltz, and it's from June 3rd, 2014. And I'm actually not even sure where I found it. But the title of it's called The Skeletal Remains of a Hellhound in the Folklore of Devil Dogs. It says last year, Dig Ventures, a London-based archaeology group, unearthed the bones of a gigantic dog from a shallow grave about 20 inches deep in the ruins of Leiston Abbey, Suffolk. Archaeologists estimate that the canine stood more than 7 feet tall on its hind legs and weighed about 200 pounds. Dig Ventures researchers believe the canine bones likely date to when the abbey was active, so are likely medieval, but they are waiting confirmation from testing. English folklore is full of stories about a supernatural dog known as Black Shook that prowled the countryside around Leiston Abbey about 500 years ago. Due to the size and date of the bones, many have speculated that these large canine remains could be connected to the legend of Black Shook. Hellhounds in mythology. A hellhound or a devil dog is a supernatural animal found throughout mythology, folklore, and fiction. Hellhound legends date back to ancient times, and sightings and attacks have been reported throughout history. Hellhounds tend to have black fur, glowing eyes, supernatural strength or speed, large teeth, long claws, and sometimes multiple heads. And you said, what was
Cerberus?
Cerberus, yep.
It's the guardian of hell.
Yep. That would do it. Multiple head dog.
Hellhound. What I'm really wondering is why archaeologists are digging up and estimating the size of an animal.
I don't know. It's a little suspicious.
Like that would be paleontologists.
These are shady archaeologists.
Yeah, I looked up Dig Ventures, and apparently they crowdfund and crowdsource their projects.
Okay.
So.
That is weird. I didn't catch that. So devil dogs guard against guard the entrance to the underworld and the grounds of graveyards. They also hunt lost souls and protect supernatural treasures. In European folklore, seeing a hellhound or hearing it howl, its howl is seen as an omen of doom or the cause of death. Hellhounds show up in many cultures and have many names, including the three-headed Cerberus in Greek mythology, Anubis in Egyptian mythology, Garmer in Norse mythology, Perro Negro in Latin America, and Black Shuck in England. Most recently, hellhounds were used in the fiction of, the Hounds of Baskerville, the Grimm and Harry Potter series, and movies like The Omen and Cujo. And in folklore of Black Shook, you have Black Shook, Old Shock, or Shook, is the name given to a medieval hellhound in England. The devil dog was said to have black fur, flaming eyes, sharp teeth and claws, and great strength. Locals describe sightings of Black Shook in graveyards, forests, and roadsides. And the most famous attack, which we already talked about, was on August 4th, 1577. And it actually happened in two churches. We talked about the one at St. Mary's. There was another one at the Holy Trinity Church in Blytheburg, which is about 7 miles from Leiston Abbey, where the skeletal remains were found. And it charged through the door, or charged through a large congregation at the church. It was during this attack that he allegedly killed a man and a boy before the church steeple collapsed through the roof. As the hellhound departed, he left claw marks on the north door of the Holy Trinity Church that are supposedly still visible today, which would be really, really cool to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Looking through this other article, it says, though, musing about the earthly remains of a legendary creature or cryptid is always fun. This giant skeleton recently found at Leiston Abbey is likely remains of an abbot's faithful canine companion or hunting dog. At best, the sightings of this huge domesticated dog by superstitious people may have sparked rumors about Black Shook. So we go through this whole article about the whole mythology of it and all these encounters, and then we get crushed right at the end. Actually, it was probably just a priest dog.
Yeah.
Which, in England, I think they had the wolfhounds. Dire wolves. But don't they have the wolfhounds? They're big. They get like 7 or 8 feet tall on their back legs.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about. You need to look that up. Look at wolfhounds. You'll see what I'm talking about.
The Russians have the Russian bear dogs.
Yeah. No, these are like these are more skinny and gangly creatures.
Oh my god.
They're big.
Irish wolfhound.
Yeah, they're huge. They're what you call ginormous. So as is the case in many unexplained subjects, people are seeing hellhounds, devil dogs, Black Shook, or any of a dozen names you want to, use to describe them. Either way, people are having encounters, and in most cases, it seems that these creatures are both real and spectral at some point in time during the encounter. It is almost as though they have the ability to be both at times and transition at will. It's very common for there to be some physical remnants of the creature that remain after the conclusion of the encounter. So, just as we heard in the encounter that Clint had from OK Talk, they had left hair remain, and of course the car was tore up. But there was no physical creature, left behind after that happened, or that they could find. And in most encounters, the creature experienced is also described as being very dark in color, very large, having glowing eyes. So it's not typical because, dogs' eyes don't typically glow or put off light, and they don't, most dogs aren't ginormous or
Most
described
animals
ginormous.
aren't bioluminescent in general.
Right.
The only animals that are naturally bioluminescent are ones that are found in lightless environments.
Right.
So,
Like hell.
I suppose.
Well, they got fire down there, so I guess.
I think it'd be more
So-
of appearance.
So what do you think they're seeing? You think it's legit?
I
Think it's
think
demons?
I think it definitely could be hellhounds, with the whole superstitious thing, but I don't know,
I think it's interesting that in most of your folklore or tales that come from ancient times, there's usually some level of truth, I think, in all of it that comes. It comes from somewhere. It's not. Yeah. I don't think most of the stuff was just made up. Hundreds of years ago, somebody came up with this idea. Or it could be like that article said that this priest just had an abnormally large dog, and people encountered it at night or whatever, freaked them out, and they came up with these wild stories about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
So, your imagination goes crazy when you get in a situation, like that, and yeah. But regardless, as we say with everything that we pretty much cover here, and the whole premise of our podcast is these people are seeing something. It's something that freaks them out. And to them, it's very real. It may not be explained. It might be strange, maybe weird, but it's a real experience. It's no different than us having our encounter at an old house. People might laugh and say, "Oh, you're crazy. There's no ghost there. The place wasn't haunted." Blah blah blah. We had stuff go on. Explain to me how everybody in the house was sitting down on the first floor, and I can hear what sounds like, a kid running around the bed upstairs in a room where there's nobody at. And, or my wife saw a shadow figure at 4:00 in the morning go down the steps, thinking that was our daughter, and run down there, and there was nothing. Our daughter's upstairs in the bed. So, a lot of weird stuff. How you talked to some woman in a white dress when you were just a kid. So, anyways, we thank the guys at OK Talk for letting us use their audio from their podcast to use in here and talk about their Clint Granberry's encounter with a devil dog, and should go check them out. Obviously, you need to be listening to them. As we say every time we have a show, there's tons of podcasts out there people could be listening to, and we just want to spread the love. And if you have an encounter, an experience, or you just want to reach out to us, unexplained.reality@yahoo.com. We'd love to hear from you. We encourage you to at least just drop us a note in email or on Instagram or Twitter, and just say, or Facebook, and just say, hey, we listened to your show. You're great. You're not great. Whatever. We'd like to hear from people. There are a few people we hear from on a regular basis that whenever we drop a show, they'll make a comment, usually on Instagram or Twitter. And that's great. We love interacting with people. So, please, let us know. Unexplained.reality@yahoo.com. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Just go to unexplainedreality.com and click one of the social media links, or you can do the contact form there too. We have a contact thing, and you can see our ugly mugs out there and a little bio about us that we wrote up. So even a picture of Queso the Wonder Dog out there in his true form. I think he's like growling at the camera or something. So check it out. You got anything to add, buddy?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. So as usual, we want to share with you the podcast that we love to listen to. OK Talk, Sasquatch Chronicles, Into the Fray Radio, Expanded Perspectives, Cryptid Factor, Mysterious Universe, Graylien Report, The Confessionals, Monsters Among Us, Secret Trans Podcast, Paranormal Punchers, 7 Ages Audio Journal, and Strange Familiars. Check them out. Let us know what you think. You should be subscribing to us. If you listen to us Yahoos, then you definitely should be listening to all those guys, because they're much more professional. So, anything else to add, buddy?
Nope.
You're done?
Yeah.
You ready to shower and go to school, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I'm ready to take a shower. Go to school.
All right. We're checking out from Brian, Harrison, and Kiesel, the Wanda Dog. Everybody have a good week. We'll see you next time. Later.
Tell us a story, Ranger Chet.
Oh, okay. I could tell you about the time I locked eyes with Sasquatch, or about my brush with the elusive Chupacabra. Then there was that encounter with the Mothman.
Yeah, tell us about the Mothman.
Of course, I once saw a lake monster and a sea monster on the same day.
Wow!
That's not even taking all the ghosts, aliens, and UFOs into account.
You've seen all that as a park ranger?
No, son. Those are the creatures I've encountered in my cryptid crate.
What's a cryptid crate?
Cryptid Crate is a monthly subscription box that arrives on your doorstep each and every month. It's filled with various cryptozoology and paranormal themed items such as t-shirts, hats, art, media, and other collectibles.
I want a cryptid crate. Yeah, I want one too.
You can get yours by visiting www.cryptidcrate.com. Sign up is quick and easy, and shipping is always free. I can't wait to get my cryptid crate, but for now, how about that story?
A paragraph on a piece of paper, held by a magnet on the refrigerator, said it all. You can't change the mind of an 18-year-old. Cloud of dust coming from a Gran Torino, taking off. Population, one less restless soul. Runaway to below. Gone, make yourself a memory. It's pouring like gravity underneath your skin. You can't turn around and go back again. Free, rolling like the river winds. What's ahead of what you leave behind? Just make it up as you go. Run away to below. Highway 61 underneath your wheels. Summer sun burning up the cotton fields in the Bible Belt. A sharecropper shack from another time. Old rusted out Coca-Cola sign on the sad motel. The ghost of a Robert Johnson says hello. Run away to below. Gone, make yourself a memory. It's pouring like gravity underneath your skin. You can't turn around and go back again. Free, rolling like the river winds. What's ahead of what you leave behind? Just make it up as you go. Run away to below. Nobody's gonna care if it don't matter where. Any road can take you there. Gone, make yourself a memory. It's pouring like gravity underneath your skin. You can't turn around and go back again. Free, rolling like the river winds. What's ahead of what you leave behind? Just make it up as you go. Run away to the Lord.